All right, welcome in. Happy is it the 40th episode of the Ryan Ripken Show? And for those that are joining, if you're back again, thank you for coming back for another episode. Happy holidays, by the way. We got Zach in studio here for a second.
Yeah, Beck got a hat on again too.
You do.
Yeah, I'm like, Brad's not gonna like it, but
Well, you're gonna have to tell the story.
Yeah, there's
a
story for the hat that I'll tell, but
and then we got Brad behind the scenes here. Brad,
what up? What up? I don't know what that intro was, but you were just kind of like way too chill. We gotta crank it up.
Talking about the what up with the double.
Yeah, me? Oh yeah. Well, I was at least charismatic. I mean,
yeah, no, I'll give it to you.
Bring the energy, man.
Oh, you want the energy to be brought? Well, the energy's brought here because we have a guest in town. Is that better, Brad?
Yeah, there we go.
Well, hey, welcome. Happy holidays. I guess we should be wake up, idiot. Yeah, I'm a little bit lulled. I had maybe a little bit too much tequila. I was celebrating a long night last night, but we got to pick up the energy, pick up the slack because we got a guest in town today, guys. Actually in studio with us, and he's a member of the Baltimore Ravens, and I've been waiting to get him on. So, hey, Nick. Hey, there he is.
Hey, how's it going, guys? How's it going?
So everyone, this is Nick Moore. Unfortunately for Nick, I'm sorry you're out for the season.
Yeah, it's tough.
I think the parts are people to it is tough. No, so for Nick to give the background for him.
Yeah, it's Nick Moore. He's out for the season.
Yeah, way to go.
Yeah, hey. I don't do anything else. Okay, I'm just out all the time.
He's just always out for the season. Professional IR.
Makes you feel good. Am I an asshole? You be the judge. But the thing was for you, unfortunately, right before the season, and for me, what I remember specifically, because Nick, you and I went to the Orioles-Dodgers game in July, right?
Yeah.
We were watching our guy Tyler Wells pitch, and I think 2 days later, unfortunately, popped the Achilles, and you've missed it. But I'm glad we can get you on here because your background, if people don't know, Nick played professional baseball, by the way, before starting his journey to the NFL. So I'll pump your tires.
If you want to call it pro baseball, I did do that.
Dude, you got drafted. You were in the minors with the Red Sox. It's an accomplishment in itself. Come on, man. But
no, it definitely is.
Yes.
It's almost cooler that you've done both. Like you've gotten both sides of
it's pretty chill. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, I was gonna say that sounds pretty dope.
it's pretty cool. It's a pretty dope.
As someone who's played zero professional sports, I was gonna say you've got me up by two. So kind of impressive.
Hey, thank you. Thank you.
You're a good kid, Zach. And Nick, even though Nick, I think you're actually older. I think Brad's the eldest here still, because Nick, you're what?
30? I'm 31. Just turned 31 like 2 weeks ago.
There it is. Yeah, Brad's grandpa still in our group.
Yeah.
But we got a lot to talk about. And honestly, I hope everyone seriously had a great holiday. You know, a lot's going on, a lot of travel. Hope you're safe. I'm assuming if you're tuning in, you guys did watch what happened last night, because that's where we're going to kick off with everything, right? What a day in San Francisco. Ravens get a big victory. We're going to talk a lot about, from the game itself, what it means, the reactions, MVP. Nick's got a great perspective. We mentioned before he's involved with the Baltimore Ravens with the team. And there's a lot of things that happened last night that transpired that I think is worth diving into from the comments. I think everyone, you've been under a rock if you haven't heard what Mike Florio with Pro Football talked about. That was a lot of bulletin board material, to say the least, for a lot of people. But it's more so about the responses. And so we're going to be able to really kind of dive into that. And that's all I got. But everyone, go ahead, Brad.
I was just going to say we got to stay tuned because Stavros shouted out Ripken Jr.
Yeah, technically a shout out to you.
Is that directly shout out to you? I think it is.
Yeah. Was he saying like he's your father? Was he indirectly calling
is he your daddy?
All right, so we start the show off with this. This is where we're going. So Stavros, if you haven't seen him, Stavros likes to do a Ravens video each week talking about what the team wins. He's a comedian. Yeah. So understand, not all of this is serious.
I would say none of this is serious.
Yeah, I'd say yeah.
I was gonna say after you listen to his stuff, none of this is serious.
No.
Let me do it better. Ryan, you gotta. I feel like we need to get you a coffee or something. The story is Stavros is a comedian and he has an alter ego, and this is his alter ego every Sunday after every game.
Ronnie from
Dundalk comes out from Dundalk, and his favorite player is Joe Flacco.
Yeah,
and so this specific week he brought up Ripken Jr. Take a listen.
The Ravens are going to the Super Bowl and the 49ers sucked it, yo. Oh my God, I thought they were supposed to be the best team in the league. And I thought Kyle Shanahan was a genius. How the fuck you gonna be a genius when you look like you still shop at Paxson, yo? Grown man probably wearing Quicksilver on his days off and shit, yo. Oh, I thought Brock Purdy was gonna be the MVP. Yeah, fucking miniature, very small penis, maybe. Brock Purdy, more like Brock Purdy. That boy is dog shit, yo. Shit, I think I picked his ass off just sitting on my couch yesterday. He threw so many interceptions, yo. Christian McCaffrey, more like Christian McAss cheeks, yo. How the fuck you gonna be a white running back that's good? That's fucking cheating. That's like going to the fucking the Kentucky Derby with a unicorn, yo. That's a fucking mythological creature as a fast white running back, yo. And we still fucking won, even though you was cheating with a white running back and you was cheating with that ref, yo. You know, that ref's very lucky. He's lucky the Ravens ain't lose by 2 points or else something. A little mistake might have happened to him. Woo! We fucking rule, yo. We're winning the Super Bowl. Lamar's getting MVP. Either him or Joe Flacco. That's the only thing standing in our way. But we're gonna win, yo. We're gonna fucking win the Super Bowl. I can feel it. It's a Christmas miracle. Sorry this video was late. I was arrested because due to I had dressed up like a Santa Claus and tried to take presents from a children's hospital because I needed to get presents for my son, Cal Ripken Jr. But I'm out. I'm free. And the Ravens are going to the Super Bowl. Let's fucking go.
What did he get you? What did he steal
what
for
are
you
the
from
gifts?
the?
I want to hear about these.
Yeah. So, all right. So people that don't understand why for me, it's funny as shit because my name is Ryan Calvin Ripken, by the way, but I still get called either Cal's kid or I will get called Cal Jr. Be like, no, the name's Ryan. He goes, no, you're Jr. So to hear that is absolutely hysterical. And I still love the fact that that even if it's the character, I think he still loves Joe Flacco. But I think a lot of people still love Joe Flacco. But yeah, he didn't get me any gifts. But maybe we need to talk to him about, Stavros, where is my gift?
Yeah.
Maybe the gift is you need to come on the show and talk to us about how you feel about the Baltimore Ravens.
I think that would be a fantastic gift.
Tis the season.
Tis the season.
But
New Year's gift, maybe?
Potentially. All right. So you've seen that reaction. It's hysterical. There's so many different ways we can go with this, but where do we want to start here? Maybe starting with the fact that the Ravens were 6.5-point underdogs going on the road facing the San Francisco 49ers, a team that everyone thought the Ravens had no chance against, or specifically a couple media heads. Hey, Nick, we talked about this too. The disrespect. And I don't know. I think we want to play, Brad. Do we want to play this video first of Mike Florio talking about it and then get to the highlights, or how do you want to view this in order?
So to frame this, Mike Florio, before the game started, I believe it was like Thursday or Friday before. Mike Florio came out, and it's all over the place. So I didn't actually bring up that specific video because I thought that enough people had seen it. But if you guys haven't, essentially Mike Florio came out and said, hey, I think the 49ers are going to kick the shit out of the Ravens. And it's not even going to be close. And he's went on to even say, like, he doubled down and was like, if this is the Super Bowl matchup, it's going to be like the worst Super Bowl matchup ever.
He said it's going to suck.
Yeah.
He said straight up, it's going to suck.
It's a very bold statement.
Very bold.
Obviously now it's super bold, but even at the time before.
Talk about a hot take. And I think the part where I wanted to bring up is the part sandwiched in between that, Brad, was the thing of I'm not trying to be disrespectful. That's just the reality. And I think, Nick, we've talked about
which
it
is
being
even almost more disrespectful.
You're being disrespectful when you say I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
What's that in Talladega Nights? Like, with all due respect.
You can't say whatever you want after you say with all due respect.
That's so true. That is how I feel like media, though, these
100%.
days, like especially ESPN, they're like, I'm not trying to hate on this player, and then they'll give 3-minute rant on everything they suck. Like
they're trying to be like, well, I'm not trying to be mean, but blah 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 blah. This,
I love his skill, but he's the worst quarterback I've ever seen in my life.
Well, so this leads to it, right? So the thought was that the Baltimore Ravens were going to go out there and get whacked. And the reality was the Ravens forced 5 turnovers, didn't turn the ball over, won by double digits on the road, arguably against the best team, head and shoulders above everyone in the National Football League. But the thing and this is the part, there's 2 parts here, and we're going to react. I think we should play both. We'll start with Lamar Jackson because I don't care of the fact that he was responding to Mike Florio here. I love the fact, and this, Nick, this is where I want you to respond to this, because what Lamar's response is something that I think everyone should listen to, because clearly if you're not in there in the locker room, you have no idea what a team is fully capable of. So let's play that Lamar Jackson post-game press conference about Mike Florio's comments.
Yeah, because we're in the NFL, we play ball, not to take away from that team, but you can't just discredit us. We grown, man, we got to feed our family. And he can have his opinion, but just don't be just talking like that. That's disrespectful. That's very disrespectful. But no, not to take away from the 49ers at all, because they're great all across the board, but we going to come to play as well. Our record not no fluke, we play ball, and we showed that, But he just need to just keep doing his job, but just don't just come off like that towards us. That's disrespectful, like I said, because he ain't putting them pads on. If he ain't putting them pads on, I feel like it would have been different for him. He wouldn't say that. He'd be respectful, But because I say that to say this, we respectful to our opponents. Our opponents was respectful to us. But a guy who not even playing against us just come out just being disrespectful. I guess he wanted more views on his little channel. We're gonna leave it at that.
It's a great ending.
So there it is. So Nick, and you and I both know this being in a locker room, but specifically, this locker room. Your initial reaction anytime you hear that is what?
I mean, I couldn't agree with Lamar more. I think Harb says it all the time. One of the best things about playing in the NFL is you get to suit up every Sunday, no matter what they say Monday to Saturday. It doesn't really matter. You put the pads on Sunday against the other team, and you go man for man, and you try to play the best you can and win a game. And I think Lamar is 100% right. It's very difficult for someone who, obviously didn't play in the NFL. Who, I don't know his background and his history with football and sports in general, but it's that's what they do. I mean, that's what he gets paid to do. It's his job. So he's going to say whatever he's going to say. But I do think it was very disrespectful that, we were 11-3 going into that game. We've played some really, really good teams this year, and we've shown that we can handle anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I think last night just proves that even more so. Like, our defense is one of, if not the best defense in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And Lamar's playing at MVP level. I think everybody can agree with that. Whether the stats are there or not, we're 12-3, the number one team in the NFL, win away from being the one seed in the AFC, which is an extremely competitive conference.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think that was a tough thing to say. I mean, it's a hot take, obviously. And the answer, the Ravens did what they do best and answered the call. So,
yeah, I think that's where it goes. And for me, I just remembered in any sport, I think anyone that's ever played, it doesn't have to be at the professional level, but when you call someone out so directly, it's just, and the thing that I feel bad for Niners, the Niners said all the right things, by the way.
Yeah.
They were they're like, the Ravens are great.
Yeah.
They got some dogs over there. They are playing some tough football. Lamar Jackson, amazing. And then you have a media outlet absolutely shred. And then that's where the focus gets taken on. But Nick, I mean, we know the answer. We can be trained to go, yep, we understand the right answers to say. Oh, we're blocking out the outside noise. It was obvious that the Ravens heard the noise.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think you can't not hear it, especially today's day and age with all the social media that's out there. You get it thrown in your face 24/7. But John is always done a good job of just, hey, keep your head down. Just going to work. We're going to show up on Sunday. They're going to figure it out. Like, he spoke out of turn this time. On Monday morning, he's going to change his tune.
Mm-hmm.
And, I didn't hear his comment today, but hopefully he changed his tune after last night's game.
Well, he was already starting to say that. He was already starting to say that, if I'm not mistaken, the Ravens, is it too early to say that the Ravens are going to beat the shit out of the Dolphins? At least he owned up saying kind of going, well, I'm glad I was wrong. It will be a more competitive playoffs, but also anything can happen in the playoffs. But Zach, actually, you brought this to attention, was Patrick Queen's comments as well, because it kind of goes hand in hand, right?
Yeah. I mean, I love everything about these comments, and it really brings it all back to how we view Ravens football, of this nitty gritty. We don't care what you say. It's 11, like you said, it's 11 on 11.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, you have to line up 11 guys versus our 11 guys, and we think we can win no matter what you do. We're going to go out there and beat you up, and they went out and did it. So, I mean, good for them. And then I will say this was a cold take, or a cold comment afterwards. Like, his smile as he's talking about it, like, It's a bad man.
He's devious. I love
that's
PQ.
a bad man.
PQ is a good dude.
Well, hey, let's roll that PQ audio then of what he said after the Ravens were victorious out in San Fran.
We play a brand of football that people don't want to play. Everybody want to be out here cute playing basketball on grass and stuff, and we ain't with all that. So you could do all that stuff, you just gonna get hit in the mouth every play, honestly. We could care less about all the pretty stuff you do, gimmick stuff. You just got to line up. You still got to line up, play football. You still got to get touched. So that's our mindset. That's how we want to come out and just hit people in the mouth.
Yeah, so I want to get in on this one. So this is what I love about the Ravens and not just the Ravens, but the division itself, the AFC North. And Nick, you could probably speak to this too, but there isn't a more physical division in football than the AFC North. And it was apparent to me, at least the eye test. I've never played football before, but just from what I've seen as a spectator, as a fan, the 49ers, the Cowboys, the Dolphins, they're those finesse teams, kind of what PQ was talking about, like basketball on a field. And it seems as if anytime those teams meet up with a truly physical opponent, such as the Ravens, they get their asses kicked. And that happened with the Bengals. It happened with the Browns, and the Steelers. That first game is what it is. But like the 49ers are 1-3 in the AFC North, and I don't think that's by accident.
No, yeah, I agree 100% with that. I think the AFC North. I'm biased because I've only ever played an NFL game in the AFC North, like being part of the Ravens. But I definitely think that it's a physical brand of football. I mean, we pride ourselves on being physical. I think, John and even Coach Tomlin, they've been with the same team for so long, and they still have that old school mentality of like, we're going to pound it in the ground, and we're going to force you to stop us and do what we do. And not a lot of teams do that anymore. And that's just the nature of the NFL. I think, teams you look at the Dolphins, they're super fast and very explosive and try to get the ball in space and do that stuff, which we do as well with guys like Zay and Odell and Bate. But I think we try to establish the run. We try to establish the trenches on offense and defense. And, we got arguably one of the best D linemen in the league. And then we got the two best, the tandem at linebacker with Roquan and PQ. And I just think our brand of ball is different. And it's been that way in Baltimore forever. I think we pride ourselves on, getting those type of players that high effort, high energy, very physical type guys that love playing offense, defense, and special teams. And, I think that's a testament to who Coach Harbaugh is as a person and as a coach. He's hardcore. That guy's in the gym working out at 5 a.m. all the time.
I love it.
And I think the players, the team, we kind of reflect his image in a way.
Yeah, I mean, the phrase "play like a Raven," I think everyone in Baltimore's heard that. I think people are starting to hear that. But that's not just a saying in Baltimore for the team. It's literally a culture. It's a belief.
100%.
And as much as people want to go up and down on John Harbaugh, same thing with Mike Tomlin. The teams, the reason why it's the foundational structures that are still being kept all these years. Nothing's going to be perfect. But you go out there and you're proving year in and year out that you can get the most out of your bunch. Maybe it doesn't turn out the way that you want, but there's that stability. I wanted to bring up, you said that you got the 2 linebacker tandem, and I know, Zach, you're smirking over there. And
I mean, when we talk about physicality at the linebacker,
there's no one more physical than Roquan Smith.
Yeah.
I don't. There's just nobody. And then PQ is just such a compliment to that. And I think those two as a group, it's unbelievable.
So can I ask you then, because, well, first off, to give the background for everyone that's possibly joining in, welcome again. And if you're new to the channel, like and subscribe here. But Nick, you got to meet Roquan initially, correct me if I'm wrong, when you were at Georgia, correct?
Yes.
When you went back to play football.
Yep. After baseball,
you were walking on and you were thinking maybe, just maybe, you were going to play linebacker.
So I originally I was like, I had a buddy of mine who played linebacker at Georgia at the time. He was a couple years younger than me in high school. And I was like, oh, dude, I can definitely play linebacker at Georgia. And so my dad's like, all right, dude, walk on, And so I went there and I walked on as a linebacker. And we weren't 5 minutes into our first summer workout. And I was like, there's not a chance because Roquan's right next to me. We're both freshmen. I'm 22. He's 18. And we're doing 10-yard sprints, and I think he finished when I was still getting out of my stance on the line. And that kid's he's different. I mean, I've said this, several times. I don't know if there's ever going to be another Ray Lewis, but he's as close as we've ever seen in our generation. And Roquan he's a freak.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about what his like not even on the field stats, just his leadership and intensity in the locker room? Like, what does he bring to a defense like that?
I think one of the things that Roquan does best is he leads by example. Mm-hmm. That guy got here, week 9 last year, right before we go down to play New Orleans. He's rotating in at the beginning, still doesn't even hardly know the defense. And I remember sitting on the bench where we're watching the defense out there, because when we're on offense, we're usually hanging out on the bench. And the first series that he was in, I think he made like 3 of the 4 tackles or something. And Tuck turned to me and he was like, "Did he just make all the tackles?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did." Yeah. And I think, Ro just what he does, like the guy got here, he had done more stuff for the community, like community events in the first month than people that have been on this team for 5 years or guys that play in the NFL with the same team for several years. And I think that's a testament to who Roquan is as a person. He just kind of, he's got a good heart, and he cares about the people, and he knows he's in a position to help everybody or as many people as he can. I think he puts that out there, and he's doing stuff for the community, and he's leading by example. He's bringing guys with them. He's like, "Hey, I'm doing this thing next week. You guys want to come down?" And, I just think he brings the best out of everybody else because he's just that kind of guy. I mean, I've known him for almost since 2015. So we're coming up on 8 years or whatever when I first met him. And he's a class act. He's a stand-up guy. And I'm just glad he's on our team because
I would not want to go against him.
I mean, he's just changed the game for the defense since he got here. And he's made everyone around him better. And that's why he got the money that he got. He earned it. He deserves it. And I'm just stoked for him.
Yeah. I mean, you can pinpoint, you mentioned exactly, you can pinpoint a time when something changes. When Roquan got traded over, there was that moment right there where everything, like a switch, just went off. And I think that's something that for Baltimore was something, if you've grown up watching the teams, it was the Ray Lewises, the Ed Reeds, the Terrell Suggs. It was during that time frame, and that's no knock to anyone that came after that or deleted, but the Ravens were trying to find that. And even what I love is you mentioned PQ, like Patrick Queen's one of my favorite players to watch. And I think that
PQ's a dog.
Well, so he's a dog. And so it felt like when Roquan came here, because I felt it was unjustified that the expectation for Patrick Queen to come in to be what Ray Lewis was, I don't think that was fair.
Yeah, he definitely had there was a lot of expectations that shouldn't have been there. I mean, he's a first-round linebacker. I just think PQ is a different type of player, and I think he's showing that this year. Guy's showing up, making plays all over the field, and he's one of the best, if not the best, linebacker in the league statistically this year. And I think Rowe has something to do with it. Not to say Patrick isn't an extremely good athlete. I think he is amazing. But I think Rowe just got here and brought a little bit extra out of PQ, and now we're seeing it real time.
Yeah, I don't think it's an insult at all to just Roquan's that type of player that elevates everyone around him. So it's not necessarily saying that, Patrick Queen needed Roquan, but when you have a guy like Roquan there, it makes everyone else up their standard, and it just takes people to a different level. Like you see his leadership in the huddle and on the field, and suddenly everything was going flawlessly. It feels like out there sometimes. And that's where you really see his impact.
Well, you don't have a choice with Roquan.
Yeah.
I mean, you're either going to get up to his level or you're not, and you're going to get out, and Rowe he kind of forces guys, not in a bad way. You don't have a choice. Like when you're around somebody like that, who's the top of what they do, and they're the guy that's working the hardest, and he's like, he loves it. He wants that physicality. He wants to be in someone's face. He's hitting every single play he's in on the pile, whether he's making the tackle or he's jumping on the tackle. That guy's in there all the time, and it's infectious when you see that as a player, and with a guy like that who is at the top, and he's the one that's hustling every play. He's outrunning everybody. He's never giving up on a play. You don't have a choice but to do that. Like you're like, I'm doing it too. Damn, I'm right there with you. And then you get 11 guys doing that, and you get what we have right now. And our defense is incredible.
Flying.
They're flying everywhere. Guys are making plays. Kyle Hamilton's a freaking beast.
Oh,
Marlon's doing what Marlon does.
I mean,
Matta Beeks is going insane this year. I mean, it's just and Brody and all these guys. I mean, and Van Noy, and look at Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah,
he's having one of the best years of his career. And
8.5 sacks.
Yeah, that guy was 1-1 in the draft. You know, I guess whatever year that was, 2014, 2015.
Yeah,
and you know, they're all really good. They're all like first round picks. You know, they're all like the best of the best. But you know, he's Roquan Smith. Man.
It's that attitude. And you know, maybe this will be an analogy to try to explain with Patrick Queen as far as why I feel. I'm going to try my best here with the baseball analogy here. It's in the sense of when you say you can you got a 3-4 hitter, right? And they were trying to say about the protection you can get. I was trying to think of a time whether it was Miguel Cabrera with Prince Fielder, Mike Trout and Ohtani isn't a fair comparison now, but having a guy like even Aaron Judge, and you could put someone in front of Aaron Judge where they know that they can't, not that they're trying to pitch around Aaron Judge, but because Judge is behind them, they know they got to be a little bit more, or they are going to be more careful with Judge than they are with Queen. It looks like in this case, for football sense, what I'm trying to say is Roquan has come into it to allow Patrick Queen to show everyone what he's fully capable of doing. And in baseball, that's kind of what happens is if you're in the right situation, in the right lineup, and a guy gains confidence, they can hit and do anything that people might not see. And that's what I'm seeing with Patrick Queen is like the talent, the skills were all there. I just think that people's expectation for him was so negative. And now you have Roquan that sets the tone to be like, hey, I've got this. Go do you, and what you're doing is nothing short of spectacular. And this was a debate going into it. Was Greenlaw Warner versus Patrick Queen and Roquan. Yeah. And to me, the linebackers that were dynamite along with the whole team was Roquan and Patrick. You mentioned Kyle Hamilton, and Zach's obsessed with Kyle Hamilton. We all are obsessed.
I was gonna say, how can you not be obsessed with that?
I love Kyle. He's just an absolute beast.
So this is my thing. This is a grind my gears moment here. People's expectation is when you come out of the gate, out of the draft. I mean, you got to hit the ground running. I remember last year, people were kind of dogging Kyle Hamilton of being, well, doesn't seem like he has a position.
Yeah,
and it's unbelievable to me. He's a rookie trying to figure it out at the highest level.
You can't put that dude in a category. Yeah. That guy could literally play any position on the field.
And he just needed the time to figure out what that was going to be. And then now what doesn't he do, Nick?
Dude, that guy does everything. Okay. Yeah. First off, college, NFL, huge jump, speed of the game, all that stuff. Some dudes adapt right away. Some dudes don't. Kyle, whatever you want to say about that. I thought he played pretty good last year being a rookie.
Yeah. Especially at the end. I mean, he really
turned it on. He got comfortable in the defense. He started learning the defense, and got comfortable in his role on the defense. And as a player, that's something that takes time to develop, having that comfortability and that confidence in the unit. I could imagine, on defense. And now look at Kyle. The guy does everything and then some. And you're like, you watch the clip from last night and it's like, what even is that? Who
it
does
doesn't
that?
make sense. It really doesn't make sense. And I think, how does a safety that size should not be able to move the way he does? It's truly incredible.
No, yeah.
This play right here, I mean, I keep rewinding it because it's.
I watched the game. I don't know if it was Sunday afternoon or Sunday night where they had an unnecessary roughness when an offensive lineman kind of fell on top of a guy and kind of pushed him into the ground. So I originally thought that was what the penalty was. And then they showed the clip and they called it illegal chop block or whatever. But that just is Kyle, man. That just speaks to who he is. I mean, most guys are just gonna, I'm not gonna say most guys, but if that was me,
plays over.
It would hurt, and I don't get crushed around like those guys do nearly as much. So, I want to say I would actually get up and continue to play, but like that, he did it. Like I can sit here and tell you all day, but I've never had to do that.
You've never been
He's
squashed
also
by
22.
Yeah,
just so we're
just a freak.
Insanity.
You're about what 10? That's a little 10-year gap between you.
Nine and 8.5. 9 years.
And same body type and size. What are you again, Nick?
We're basically the same. I mean, Kyle's dimensions are mine. We're 6'3".
Reminds me a lot of myself.
Yeah, we're both he's probably 6'4". But he's I don't know his weight. He's probably like, I don't know. I'm gonna throw out some random number like 220. Sounds good, but he may or may not be.
See what
But
Google
I'm
says.
265, so and we're about relatively close to the same height. I'm 6'3".
Yeah, you're a unit.
Yeah, I'm a big
in
boy.
the best way possible.
Google
Yeah.
said 220.
Hey, that's a good guess.
Oh,
Google never lies. So it's
Google
a good guess.
Never lies. Know your teammates. But
Yeah.
Kyle Hamilton, he's not going to get the defensive player of the year this year. Like, it's the reality of the situation. But if you're talking about a guy that should be more in consideration, he can sack the quarterback, he can rush the quarterback, he can drop back and cover really any assignment that he's asked. And then he has the playmaking ability to be around the ball. I think it actually, for Ravens fans, if you watch it all year, but that playoff game against Cincy, right? It was on Hayden Hurst that he forced the fumble and recovered it, right?
Yep,
If I'm not
yeah.
mistaken.
Yep.
And I think that was that kind of moment. Then after that, well, and this was earlier, but what I'm saying is, I'm glad you brought up that the speed of the game. Things speed up, and you need time to adjust. And the great ones do. And Kyle Hamilton's a great one. There's no damn doubt about that.
Who would have thought that all the people who called him a bust after watching a single rep in training camp, they were wrong. Who would have thought?
Way wrong.
The Twitter GMs that said he was a bust after a single video, 10-second video.
He couldn't be further from a bust if he wanted to.
Oh my God. I think he has to try to be bad at football. Like he just instinctually.
Kyle's the inside story here. There was
get it inside.
There was a question that was going around the team last year, just kind of for fun, you know. And I was the one who brought it up to some guys, and I was like, if there's you get to pick one player on the team, one guy. There's some athletic challenge. You don't know what it is. It could be anything from running, throwing, swimming, golfing, lifting weights. You know, it could be literally anything that your brain could come up with. You get to pick one person to do it. I'm 1,000%. And that's from a guy who's been a professional athlete in 2 different sports. I'm picking Kyle every time. There's like, because I've never seen a guy that can golf, who can run and jump and play football and do all the in basketball and all the stuff that he can do. I'm a huge Kyle Hamilton fan, as you can tell, but
aren't we all?
Yeah.
Aren't we all?
I think he's unreal.
I think if I'm not mistaken, Zach, you got a jersey.
Yeah, I actually got a Kyle Hamilton jersey yesterday, and then he put on for the city. We got to witness primetime Kyle Hamilton, which is just a show in it of itself.
Yeah, there's somebody in the chat said you're not wearing a 14 jersey tonight.
Yeah, I know. I should have worn it, Joe. I should have worn it.
Yeah, Joe's a regular on it. We'll get on it. And Joe, we'll actually ask Joe's question here about, because you and Aaron Rodgers are about the same, and you know, as far as recovery and Achilles and all that. Just kidding. Yeah. It's different. But we'll jump into that question and
we'll get there, Joe. Just give us a minute.
We will get there. But
we're getting to the doctor stuff soon.
I got plenty of stuff to say on that. So.
Oh, you do? I can't wait. Can't wait. But you know, when am I going to get a Nick Moore jersey? By the way, we're going to get this hanging in the rafters.
Yeah, we're going to get the 46 up. Don't worry.
Yeah,
don't worry. It'll be there.
You see right behind Zach. I mean, we're also. And as we're talking about this, we are going to have our big, because we take a ride in our Adams Jeep. We're going to have our Adams Jeep sponsor ride that Jeep. There it is, Zach.
There it is.
Our Adams Jeep sponsor. We're actually getting, we're putting some things up on the wall. We're trying to really decorate the studio, but we would love nothing more, obviously, than our friends at Adams Jeep, who we're going to do more and more with. But having a Nick Moore jersey up there, are you kidding me?
Oh, it'll be there,
hanging in the rafters,
right next to the Cal Jr. poster.
Yes.
That's what we need.
I mean, I have we could put something up of mine if we want, but the Cal Jr.
Oh, I meant to text you. While I was Christmas shopping, I saw a Cal Ripken jersey.
No, that's unfortunate.
And I was gonna send it to you and be like, "No way, they have your jersey at Dick's."
That's got to happen a lot, right?
Yeah,
it happens.
I feel like all your friends make that joke.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can't believe you didn't wear 8.
Your dad's the Iron Man. I mean, come on, dude. Like he's a Baltimore. He's a baseball legend, sports icon.
Oh, Calvin.
Oh, are you? I didn't know that.
Backyard baseball was my favorite game.
Are you related to Cal Ripken?
You know, the thing was with backyard baseball, by the way, they kind of made him dog shit. Like, to be honest, he wasn't that good in the game, and maybe it was towards the
game.
end.
The game came out. He was towards the end of his career. They were trying to give Jeter and A-Rod and those.
Well,
guys
actually, Ken Griffey Jr. was by far that dude.
100%.
And really, Pablo Sanchez.
I was gonna say you.
If it was Pablo,
Ken Griffey and Pablo Sanchez and Pete Wheeler, if you're trying to bunt for the home runs.
If you're trying to,
that guy's nothing but speed.
Yeah,
that's all he could do. He'd fumble the bag every time he got it, but he could bunt a home run.
That's what every time the Orioles play the Blue Jays and Ryan Mountcastle does something insane, I always post a picture of Pablo Sanchez and say Ryan Mountcastle in Toronto, and it's a very niche, like only if certain people like understand it. Like you had to get backyard baseball, but incredible. One of the greatest athletes of all time, Pablo Sanchez.
By far. In every sport, too.
In every sport.
Like I was good at all of them.
Yeah.
Not just baseball.
They knew what they were doing.
Oh, yeah.
They did. What a series. What a game. What a sport. This a sports series, I should say. So the Ravens, we understand. And now that they're moving on, and quite frankly, the game does matter because it's a measuring stick, right? But I think, Nick, people that watch the team, you've been around the guys, you understand. You knew how good the team was, right? We understood what the team was capable of doing. And now the reality is, and Zach, we were just talking about this. Maybe you want to ask this. Now you're moving on to the next game, and really nothing matters now but Miami. And Zach, I think we were touching on it, even though the reality, the playoffs are close, but we still got a couple left.
Yeah. So at this point in the season, like how hard, not necessarily how hard is it, but do players – what's the scoreboard watching like? So is it one of those things where people start looking and they're like, well, if these two teams win this game, like I think we can play them first round and we like that matchup more than – is that happening in locker rooms, or is it?
I definitely think it does. I mean, in 2021, there was like a weird scenario where we needed like 3 teams to lose. And if we won, we made, we got in as a 7th seed. And similar last year with, were we going to win the division, or how that was going to shape up if we won and all that. This year, I think is totally different because we win, we're the 1 seed. That's it. I think that's the only thing that matters. Winning this game, which every week in the NFL, that game is the most important game. But I think as a human being, it's hard not to like look and try to figure out and all that stuff. But that first round bye is huge.
Yeah.
Getting that time off, getting a guaranteed second round, get home field advantage through the AFC playoffs. That's huge. Yeah. And we got a little taste of that in 2019. Obviously didn't go as well as they would have hoped. That was before my time, but winning that and getting the number 1 seed in the AFC is the only thing that matters, and beating Miami too, because they've gotten the best of us the last 2 times that we've played them.
Well, now that you brought it up, I actually do have a quick question. Did they last year, was there like a vote put out? Like if it happens, like, are we putting heads or tails for the coin flip? Like, was there discussion in the locker room? Like, are we going tails? Are we going heads for the division?
If there were, I was not privy to those combos. I think that's above my pay grade.
Yeah. I wonder I just was always curious, like who got the responsibility to call heads or tails? Like who would you, if you had to pick, who would you have wanted to go out there?
Oh, me? Tuck all day. That guy always wins a coin toss. I think, I like whoever the speaking captain is for the game calls it, on a normal game, but I would pick Justin.
I like that.
He was the most tenured Raven that we have, and most experienced. Won a Super Bowl, one of the few Super Bowl champions we had on the team last year. I think you got to give it, if you're going to give it to a player, you got to give it to Tuck.
I can see that. I think that's a great choice.
The guy.
Yeah, Jay Tuck's a great choice. And speaking of Jay Tuck, actually, I wanted
good kicker,
great kicker. Some would say the best kicker.
Decent.
But so actually, we were talking about this, and maybe we'll play the clip here in a second. The process of it, and you saying getting a chance to work with Jay Tuck in general, it's crazy to me the expectation that he's now brought to of what people are expecting every time he goes out there. He's not allowed to miss a kick, right?
Nope.
And for his standards, this is a down year, which any other team's kicker, they would take it. You know, it's still an unbelievable season. I wanted you to kind of touch on it because you've gotten to see the process with him. And correct me if I'm wrong here, you were even saying he was a big part of you helping to kind of find your footing along with guys like, Sam Cook and Morgan Cox too, when they were still on the team.
I mean, I 100% wouldn't be the player that I am without Justin or Sam or Morgan. Those 3 guys have changed my life, changed my football ability, changed everything about my game, and got me to the confidence and got me to where I'm at now. I think it's like anything in sports. When you get to the top, like LeBron or Tom Brady, all that stuff. Whenever you don't perform, which happens. We're nobody's 100%. That's just outside of the two for the Cowboys, but he's only he's in his rookie year.
Jesus.
It's the expectations there. The guy's been so dominant for such a long time. I mean, he's in his 12th year now.
Yeah.
And he's been the best kicker in the NFL of all time, not just of now. We're talking forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's hard because it's tough. It's hard because Justin goes out there. He kicks balls that a lot of teams don't even think about trying.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at last year against Jacksonville. Every team in the league is throwing a Hail Mary on a 67-yard field goal. Mm-hmm. No one's even going to remotely try that.
Yeah.
Especially outside in November in Jacksonville, where the wind is all over the place in Florida. And it was kind of rainy that day.
Yeah.
It's like 31 teams are throwing a Hail Mary. And for us, it's like, it's 50-50. I mean, Tuck's.
I thought he made it.
Yeah,
first,
like
if I'm being honest.
It
looked like,
straight.
at least from the TV angle, it off his foot. It was like, I'm sure your angle was a lot better.
I mean, I can usually tell. I can hear the sound on those long ones. It's hard because he smashes the ball, so it sounds really good, and it's just gauging in on the distance.
Yeah.
But like the one in Detroit was epic. He hit it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, baby!" I was like, fourth game of my career. I was like super nervous, and he just absolutely pipes in, and I was just like, "Oh, this is fantastic."
That's awesome.
I think I even have a video of you explaining the nerves of it, and maybe we can play a part of it here. And I think I can pull it up, Brad, if I can find it. Oh, I can find it. I know Brad's going to get on me about my nose and my head. Is that fair to say, Brad? You're going to get
the
on
side
me for
profile.
Hey,
it was just bad camera angle.
You already brought it up. I brought it up off camera. I wasn't going to blow it up, but I mean, it looks shitty. If you want to ask me that.
Yeah, thanks, man. Well, I want to just hear Nick, so you don't have to re-explain it. This was something you talked about preparing for moments, and even the biggest moments, and even how having a guy like Justin Tucker can give you more confidence. So let me add this to the whammy. Let's see what we got.
Ability to make field goals that most people can't make or won't even try. Doing that is really cool because we get into some really big time moments like we did in Detroit a couple years ago. And
do you get tense in those moments when it's a game-winning field goals?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think you're lying if you say you don't. We prepare for those moments starting, day one. What Justin and Sam and Morgan were really, really good at is playing well in those situations and being in those situations a lot. They know like what it takes to succeed. And so we're not just going out doing our work like, all right, we made a field goal today. That was good. Everything we do is geared towards like, would that ball go in Cleveland in 20 degrees on a frozen field, and like everything has to be perfect. I think I help myself and we help ourselves a lot in those moments because of how hard that we prepare getting to that.
Yeah.
And I think any professional athlete would say the same thing. Like the preparation and the practice, I always feel the best when I'm at my absolute maximum preparation. I've worked my tail off for this moment. And I have so much faith in the guys that I work with that I'm like, all I have to do is do my job, and then they're going to take care of the rest.
So the reason why, so you don't have to explain it better, but I mean, I think the rep for a long snapper, it seems like, it's that easy. You can't mess up. Yeah. You can't mess up or you're gone.
It's everybody, I say this all the time. Everybody wants to be a long snapper until it's time to do long snapper stuff. It's like that old quote, everyone wants to be a gangster until it's time to do gangster shit. That's just the nature of my position. I mean, everybody thinks it's the easiest thing in the world until you got to kick a 66-yarder with 4 seconds left in the game to beat Detroit, And at that time, it was Detroit, not the Detroit. Now.
It was not a good loss at that time.
So, it is what it is. I'll stand by the preparation is key. I think I get my confidence from my work ethic and the stuff that I put in Monday through Saturday, so that when I go out there on Sunday, my body just works. My brain turns off. All I focus on is being in that moment, trying to do my job the best I can. And
so you're someone who, when you're running out on the field, it's just see ball, snap ball.
It's focused on what I have to do. Like for me being a long snapper here with the Ravens, I got to huddle up the offensive linemen, make sure we got enough guys on the field, get set, tell Justin and Jordan where we're putting the ball, like the spot of the ball and how, where they need to be, and taking care of everybody, calling the play, field goal on my snap ready break, go to the line of scrimmage And by the time I do all that, I get in my stance. Everyone gets lined up. I turn around. I don't have time to think about anything. I'm like, oh, tuck's ready. All right, let's go. Just grab the ball and grip and rip it and wait for his hand to open up and deliver.
Grip it and rip it.
Yeah.
And not get run over by,
Yeah, try not to. They do a good job of protecting the guys on field goal. I will say the refs are. We've seen a couple penalties over the last 2 or 3 years protecting the long snappers on field goal. Punt, they could do a little bit better job, but that's neither here nor there.
You want me to talk to the NFL about that?
Yeah, we might need to get who's in. I forgot the guy that's in charge of the refs in the NFL, but we need to get that.
How many career tackles do you have? I should have done.
I got 8.
Before.
I got
8.
Yeah,
I love that.
I love
that you knew that off the top of your head. That's electric.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I wanted.
I don't get them very often, so when I do get them, it's like, oh yeah.
It's a mental note.
What was your favorite one?
Let's see. My first tackle was Nakeem Hines. That was a pretty cool one against the Colts in 21. I had 2 tackles against the Bucks last year, and that were pretty elite. But I think my best one,
humble.
Yeah,
I mean they were great form tackles.
Let's be honest. Kyle helped me on one, so I got an assist on one because Kyle. That's why I love Kyle.
Yeah, they're like, who do we give the tackle? Who do we give the assist?
And then
to?
the other one, I love the NFL because they give you the stat. If you run a guy out of bounds, you don't even have to touch him. If you're the guy that forces him out, tackle. So me and the sideline got the other tackle that game. But I would say my best one was the most athletic one was 2021 against the Rams. Had to Sam punted it far right. Guy starts running left. Coming back to the field, I'm kind of cutting the field off, and then he cuts back to the right, and then I take a pretty good angle, cut him off at the sideline, do a little form wrap and roll on the sidelines, and got up like it was like what I do every day.
Yeah. Is there like an oh shit moment, like when the returner like cuts around and you're like, oh, I got to make the play?
For me, no. For me, the only time I get an oh shit moment, I wish I had these clips. Last year we're playing the Browns and we punted deep to Jonathan Peoples-Jones, and I'm the first guy down the field, and so it's me. Which I'm a good athlete, but I am slow as all get out, and I have zero like agility. So when it's like he stops on a dime and cuts, I keep going. Right, my brain's like stop and cut. My body's like no.
Yeah,
and so So I learned last year, not to be the first guy down the field because I'm never gonna. I don't want to say never, but more times than not, I'm not making a one-on-one tackle with a returner that gets paid different. He's fast, and that's what he does for a living. I'm not gonna make that play 9 times out of 10. And I learned that the hard way twice when I got shook last year against the Browns. So now I go behind everyone.
Yeah,
and I either cut them off on the sideline, or if they squeak through, I'm right there to deliver a little blow for them.
That's also a great way to like be there for the fumble, get the highlights. Have you recovered any fumbles?
I have not. We've had, since I've been on the team, when I've been on punt, we've had actually 3, I think. I know for sure my first game was that weird Wednesday night game in 2020 against the Steelers. We had they muffed a punt, and Anthony, I was right behind Levine. But again, Levine's way faster than me, so he beat me to the ball. But I was right behind him when we got that one. And then last year against the Bucks, actually, and that I wasn't really close to that one. I had gotten knocked on my ass by one of their rush guys, and you can see me like on the sideline clip. I'm nowhere to be found in the screen, and they're like on the ball, and then you see me like I'm like high stepping it, running to like meet because everyone was like celebrating at the camera in the end zone, and I was like trying to join the party. It was a terrible idea, but it was fun. But so no, I haven't got a chance yet, but one of these days,
it's coming.
I'll get there.
It's coming one of these days.
Yeah,
one of these days.
Scoop and score.
Scoop and score.
It's got to be a fumble on punt. That's the tough part because it's where do they distinguish a muff from a fumble? Because a muff punt's not a you're not allowed to advance. It's a dead ball.
Yeah, you're gonna need to
can't advance.
Someone's gonna need to make a play in the.
Or
tackle.
I could do like the dude for the Jaguars this year, just made a tackle and just pulled it out of the guy's hands.
Trent Williams last night almost did that with
like,
PQ.
Yeah, I know. Do something like that where he's running and get in there. I mean, opportunity if it presents itself, I'll handle it.
Go.
I got those. I got quick hands, baby.
Yeah. It's a baseball back.
And that's why you played baseball, right?
Quick
quick hands.
Quick hands.
Yeah. Hand-eye coordination. Nick, I actually wanted to. So we were just talking stats and stuff. It kind of got me wondering too. Tucker is apparently having a down year. He's 86% accurate, which I guess is kind of, it's not great, I guess, apparently.
which is wild because so he's missed. He's missed four of his 5 misses have been from 50 plus.
Yeah. He's just one under.
Well, and that's where I was going. So I think 3 of those were blocked field goals.
2 for sure.
Yeah, 2.
Well, PAT blocked. But
so,
for sure 2 have been blocked.
I guess my question would be like, should that count against Justin? Because I feel like leading all the way up to where he kicks the ball isn't really in his control. I don't know why they count that as a missed field goal if it gets blocked. Like that's not really on him, right? Like is that
not necessary? It just depends. Some situations
are,
if it's a longer kick and he tries to drive it a little bit more and he hits it low, there's nothing we can do if he hits it low and the guy jumps, he's 6'6", and you got Calais Campbell on the other side and he jumps up and the guy hits a low kick, that's the kicker's fault. But most of the time, like I know I can speak on last year when we had 3 blocked, and I would say 2 of them were laps in protection and 1 of them was a tough ball we kicked in the snow in Cleveland from 50. You got to drive it, so it has to be a little bit lower. And the guy, he was right on my shoulder actually. Dude, we get taught to, like, they run into our shoulder. We call it rise with leverage, and you hit them and hit them low, and then we rise up, because usually the bigger linemen, they're heavier on the top, so they fall low, they'll flip over, they'll bend in half because we're getting them in the thigh board. This dude did not do that. We started rising, me and Ben Powers, we started going up, and this guy went to the moon.
He rose with you.
He blocked it like on his elbow. I remember watching the clip, and we were just like, well, what the fuck did we do?
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that clip.
Yeah,
I gotta see it. So you rose him to the moon.
I mean, normally what the guys will fold in half like a chair. This guy
just an act.
It's like right as soon as
do you remember who it was?
I can't remember if it was number 90. He was on my right side. It was against Cleveland last year. It was a 50-yarder, and it was kind of in the snow, into the wind, in the snow, into the dog pound. Really, really tough kick. And Tuck hit a low driver, just try to push it, get it through the wind, and the guy made a hell of a play. There's nothing you can do there.
And it's the way the cookie crumbles. That's what happens. Great effort by him. Did not fold like a chair. You launched him to the moon, and he made a great play. But it's fascinating too. And by the way, the record for kicking percentage lasting with Justin Tucker is 90% on his career.
Yeah,
he's
back.
He's back. He took over against Youngway.
So I mean, come on. There's no one else in the world that you'd rather have kick a football except the guy on the Chargers right now, Cameron Dicker. That one video of him is his. Have you guys seen that promotional video?
Was it the president one?
Yeah,
I didn't have the sound on. I was reading the subtitles.
Oh my
He's
goodness.
got it. He's got it.
He is balling out. And that is hysterical.
That's a product of the Ravens goat pin. That's Jay Tuck's protege.
Really?
He was here last year in preseason. Last preseason game last year. He was here. We were his first NFL action. Yeah, then he went to Philly. One of our coach's sons works at Philly, and went to Philly, filled in for Elliott, and then now he's Cameron Dicker. He's also a Texas guy, so really he's Justin's protege.
Really is.
University of Texas guy.
There's way more things making sense now. Why he is?
He's a stud though. He punted and kicked off for us against the Commanders last year. He's a stud. He's a good player.
He's crushing it. If it's not going to be Tuck, he's got my vote. And that promotional video on itself. The Chargers might be not having the year that they want, but their PR staff, social media staff, A+. They are a Super Bowl caliber PR social media post. Hey, before we move into around the NFL a little bit.
Yeah, wait. Actually, hold up real quick.
Okay.
I got to,
hold up. What we got?
I got the.
We got the clip.
I got a little freeze frame action of. There we go. As they all rise with the
rise with leverage. Look at him.
Rise. So a lot of leverage being
he's leveraged.
That's not it. Wait. It is. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
So
that guy, he's rising, dude.
Yeah. So I guess we'll just to relive it.
Yeah. It just hurt my heart.
He got up there.
Dude. Yeah. It wasn't my best attempt.
We got a close up. Here we go.
Yeah. Get the close up because that dude's
there. It is.
My goodness, he is, bro. I'm telling you. And I started out hitting him in his thigh board.
Holy crap.
And you got to kind of hug him a little bit that.
Yeah, look at this right here.
Because you can't let him blow you up.
Oh, he rose with you.
Oh, he is
That's a massive.
What do you
getting
there's nothing
that.
you can tell the kicker. You're just like, hey man,
kid made a play.
you
Yeah,
could say get it up, which
Well,
he should.
I
He's
mean,
JT.
you could say get. Well,
But-
never mind.
Yeah, it's also
Talk about Cameron Dicker.
you can't tell it's like snowing and windy at that game. It's like 25 degrees, and it
Yeah.
had just started snowing in the second half there, and
That's
it was
got to be.
yeah. I mean, it's we got to make that kick, Justin.
Hey, there
I gotta
there
be
might
better,
be
too.
there might be a 6'5", 300-pound lineman now is
Yeah.
now 10 feet in the air, but Justin kicked it
Hey,
over
he
him.
hit it 11 feet up.
Yeah,
Justin, come on.
Justin, are we not greatest of all time?
No,
Come on.
it's my fault. Run it back. I threw a 9 o'clock snap. It was a little high. It was terrible.
Oh man.
Oh,
Hey,
that's
it's
on
good.
me. I take
Accountability
credit
is
for
what we
that.
want. Accountability is what we need.
It starts with me. If it's not good and we miss, it's 100% on me.
Mhm.
Hey, we talked about this, Nick, with
Always.
baseball.
Yeah.
Accountability. When you go out there and you face the pitcher, it's you versus the pitcher. If you
One-on-one,
suck, it's
baby.
you.
Yeah, and that's same here. I mean, I get the feedback, instantly. So when I go out there, that particular case, they misspotted the ball, so I told them the wrong thing, and then the clock's running down, and I'm trying to rechange it, and Tuck's like, I can't move, and so then I'm shuffling around trying to get it set up, and it's not where it needs to be, and I kind of had a panic moment. Like that was the first time that had ever happened to me, and so I kind of panicked a little bit, and that's on me. I take blame, Justin. That's my fault. I'm sorry.
That was big.
Hey, it's good. Hey, yeah, there we
Good
go.
accountability.
Yeah, accountability on this show.
I'll be better.
We
Yeah,
work
that
on
was
that. Be,
next
incredible.
year. I'll be
hey,
better.
I'm a
Next
big
year.
movie. I'm a big movie quote guy. What was it? It's like in Crazy Stupid Love. Be better than the gap.
Yeah.
Nick. Be better than the gap. But you are. You'll be better than the gap.
Damn right.
What about real quickly, because we're going back to this, then we'll dive into NFL because it kind of involves other NFL. You having your Achilles recovery. Maybe talk about it and seeing what Aaron Rodgers, and no way he was going to play, right? And he obviously is not playing, and he was progressing well. But I remember us texting you about this. I mean, like, dude, are you on the same timeline here where you're moving around, throwing footballs in like 3 weeks? First off, how you feeling? And also, like, how realistic when you saw Aaron Rodgers doing that? Like, what was your thoughts?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm almost 5 months out. I'll be 5 months on the 1st of January. So I've made a lot of progress over the last couple of months. It's been one of the more challenging things I've been through. Physically, mentally, emotionally, it's very difficult. I've never been hurt before, so this was my first experience with the whole rehab process and all that stuff. And I had no idea what to expect, and it's rocked me a little bit. But I think I put in the work, I put in the time, and we'll get back. And it's just a matter of time at this point. With Aaron, dude, I got hurt before training camp started. So training camp's about 6 weeks long. So I'm about 7 weeks ahead of A-Rod. And he had torn his Achilles. Before that moment, I was like, the team, all the doctors were like, oh, it's going to be 9 months. I'm like, shit.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
That's a lot of recovery.
It's halfway. I mean, we're looking at May at that point. And that just, as an athlete, that just sucks because your season's done. So there wasn't a whole lot of urgency at that point. And then A-Rod gets hurt and he's like, yo, I'm coming back. Let me just state this. A-Rod and I, totally different surgery from everything I've heard and done research on myself. He had his Achilles tear was a little bit closer to his heel. And mine was a little bit higher up. So they were able to do what they call an internal brace for him. And they basically, they kind of sutured the tendon back together, but they mainly bolted into the heel bone. And that allows for a quicker recovery because he didn't have to go into a boot. Like I was in a boot for 2 months. I was in a cast for 3 weeks basically. And then I was in a boot for another 6 weeks. So I was essentially 8 weeks or 8.5 weeks. I was immobile. My foot was covered up, and he didn't have to go through that process as he was in a boot, like a walking boot.
Yeah, but he was not.
But his was his was a little bit smaller. Mine, they sutured the tendon. Mine, they had to sew the tendon back together, and it's tendon on tendon, so it's really weak at the beginning. So I had to basically have my foot like in plantar flexion, which pointing your toes to the ground. For those who don't know,
thank you for that.
Yeah, so my foot
you
was
learn something new every day.
which dude, I'm a math and finance guy. I have zero, I don't know anything about the body other than how to lift weights. So this has really forced me to like learn more about what muscles and tendons and nerves and ligaments and stuff are in your foot. So he to miss. The biggest thing was he got to miss the muscle atrophy that I got. So by me not using my foot at all for 8 weeks, not standing on it, all I could do was really move my toes.
Yeah.
I couldn't really move my joint, like do what I'm doing right here, moving my ankle joint. And that causes, I lose my calves. I lose my gastroc, which is the big calf muscle, then the soleus, which is the bottom part of the calf. Yeah. I lose ankle mobility and flexion. I lose how to like use my toes, which as a person, okay, you don't remember when you started walking. You just know you can walk, right? And like me, I have my son is almost 1, and he just started walking like 3 weeks ago now. And he's not like thinking like heel toe or any of that stuff. He's just like, get up, try to walk, put one foot in front of the other, fall down, do it again. You don't know how to use you don't know how to grip with your toes. You don't know how to do this. It just happens. Like your brain just instinctually knows what to do. And so when you take that away, where you're like, hey, you can't move your foot at all for the next 2 months. And then you get out of the boot and you're like, what do I do? You think it's like glass. If you step on it, it's just going to shatter everywhere. And so like having to just do this motion, like when I first got out of the boot, I was literally moving my foot like just a flick. We're talking barely moving it. And my toes, like I couldn't curl my toes. I'm like, curl your toes, dude. It's not that hard. Just do that.
You've done this a million
times. I'm like
times.
doing it with my left foot right next to it. And I just can't, just because I didn't know how to do it. So I had to like retrain how to stand on my foot properly, where I'm not like, standing on the backside or like leaning to the outside, like really using my whole, and I'm still struggling with that, now. And so A-Rod got to skip some of that stuff. And fortunately for him, he was able to. I was rooting for him. I really wanted him to come back. I thought it would have been a sick story for him. And I'm a huge Aaron Rodgers fan. I know that's a hot take and not a lot of people, whatever. But I just think from my perspective, it put a little bit of fire under my ass when this guy's 2 months behind me and he's like, oh, I'm getting back. I'm coming back this year. And then I was like, well, fuck me. I'm coming back too. Yeah. I'm going to start I'm going to start doing extra, doing more, trying to force it. Obviously, it's not gonna pan out for me. Didn't pan out for him either.
Breaking news.
Yeah. But it wasn't out of the realm of possibility for him. Cam Akers came back in 5 months and he was working with a guy he's working with this Russian gymnast that competed in the Olympics in Tokyo, right? This past one.
Yeah.
He competed in 3 events in gymnastics and got bronze. In one of the 3 events, and 14 weeks after he had Achilles surgery. So it wasn't out of the realm of possibility for him, but it was a tall task. And as an athlete, like you have to set unlofty goals for yourself. Otherwise, you're not going to maximize it. When you put something that unrealistic where everyone in the world is like, no, this fucking guy, dude, come on. Yeah. This guy's a joke. Like, what is he talking about? And everyone's joking. He's going to do all this shit, ayahuasca and all the other shit that he's into. And I'm like, dude, why? Like, let the man do his thing. Yeah. If he comes back, great. If he doesn't, so what? Yeah. Dude? No, it's not the end of the world. But as a guy who's at the peak, like he's at the top. Like it's A-Rod, dude. Yeah. This guy's a legend. I mean, you have to have a goal like that. He wouldn't have gotten to where he's at.
Yeah, if he didn't push himself like that.
No, and I think that's a good point you brought up, because in general, when shit hits the fan too and you're struggling, why not try to set high goals, expectations or ambitions? Because the journey in itself is daunting. Where he is at his point of his career, this is the twilight years. And if he wants to keep playing and he is eager that window to try to win a Super Bowl one more time, it's right here. And even for you in that case, like why don't you want to expect more? So I don't blame. 100%. I think it pissed people off, but as athletes, you brought up the process of it. When you have to go through an injury, that's why I feel for a guy like J.K. Dobbins that back to back going that shit fucks with you. And I think you're giving the example right there. So for a guy, even if you don't like Aaron Rodgers for whatever all the reasons, I understand whatever it may be, I think you got to respect that he was trying to do everything to get back. And honestly, that gives you hope. Even 100%. Like it sounds like for you, it gave you hope too. So I'm glad you could touch on that. We could talk about that for a while. That'll be more of a conversation on injuries and all this shit.
So much with
so much. I can just say from my experience, it put a fire into my ass and it's forced me to work harder and do more shit that maybe I would have put off because I don't have to be ready till September of 2024. That's still 9 months away, 9.5 months away. So him doing that it didn't force me. I chose to do that. And I think it's been the best thing that ever happened to me. And you have setbacks and you have all kinds of stuff and they're not doing great. But, for me, I love that he did what he did because I am in a better spot now than I probably would have been had he never got it. Or had he had people that were just holding him accountable every day. So he didn't have a choice but to do the shit, do the work, put the time in because people were going to mock him like they're doing now. And
I think that's a different perspective than people think about the way that he did motivate and put out to other players of, okay, just because they say your season's over doesn't mean it has to be.
No.
It wasn't necessarily that he was saying, okay, I'm coming back this year. It's happening 100%. He was like, okay, if this is going to be it, I'm going out on my terms. I know I want to try to come back. And it's going to take, I'm going to give everything I can to, unless I physically can't come back, I'm going to come back. And just that mentality.
Yeah. And the other part of it too is you only have one career, right? So when it's done, it's done. When you're older, this isn't something you can go back and go, I wish I did it differently. So if you don't rehab the way that you want and to put your body through what you're hoping to get back into it and get back in the game, you're not going to get the opportunity 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And so, and that's the point for Aaron Rodgers had a great career. And every athlete, it's the same way. It's me dealing with it. Nick, you've dealt with stuff. Any athlete that goes through it, amateur, professional, you have a choice. And your window of opportunity, if you choose to keep playing sport, whatever sport that's going to be, you have the choice of what you want to do. So I respect the hell of that. He was going out there and saying, this is my career, this is my choice, and I am doing this because he doesn't want to look. I bet he's going to look back and not have a regret for trying to push to come back. We'll dive more into that in future topics.
At a later date.
Oh, yeah. Let's go around, Brad. Let's go around because there's some other spicy topics on here throughout the NFL.
National Football League.
Yeah. Where do we where do we want to go here, Brad? Which direction?
Yeah. So the Chiefs lost to the Raiders yesterday.
How about that?
We've been talking a lot about the Ravens, which obviously that was the biggest game of the weekend. But what's going on with the Chiefs? I mean, lots of crazy reactions we've seen from Patrick Mahomes over the last couple of weeks, right? Like, he got fined $50,000 for basically calling out the refs when it was a legitimate offside penalty from the offense from Kadarius Toney, and then just kind of like uncharacteristic things that we're seeing from Patrick Mahomes and even Travis Kelce. You got to wonder if this is because it's uncharted territory for Patrick Mahomes, but specifically we saw a pretty crazy reaction from Travis Kelce after a particular play in that game against the Raiders, where he slams his helmet down on the sideline, and then Andy Reid decided to take it as a coaching opportunity. And I thought this was pretty interesting. Take a look at this.
Well, you can see Andy Reid is talking. There's the helmet. Andy Reid's like, no, don't give him his helmet. Don't give him his helmet. He doesn't deserve it. He wants to launch it like that. And he goes, Travis, come on now. You're one of the leaders of the team. Come on, big guy. Let's get going. He's like, all right, I got you, coach.
I don't think he quite said it that way. Just a hunch.
Yeah, probably not.
But Andy Reid is a player's coach, and some would argue that that's kind of that's how John Harbaugh is as well. So you have to wonder if it was like, if you just kind of went up to him and was like, what the fuck, Travis? Or was it like, if it was like what Tony Romo was saying, like, kind of like being a little bit lighthearted, but also being serious. It's just interesting to me to see those types of reactions from the Chiefs. It almost feels like they're dead this year. Like they're not going to be any sort of threat, and nobody's afraid of them right now. Not the way they've been playing. Well, they lost three of the last four, right?
Yeah, I think they won last week, but they
So
last four.
Yeah.
It's just interesting to me to see how the Chiefs are playing right now, and it also got to wonder like what it's going to be like, how are they going to face this adversity? Because right now it's not looking like they're handling it all that well. They got 2 more games to go. They're going to win the division Or they already won the division, right?
No,
No,
they
they
haven't.
haven't.
clinched
No,
one.
no.
The Raiders can
the
still
Raiders
win
have
it.
a chance if the Chiefs lose out
Weirdly.
and the Raiders win out.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I
right.
mean,
That's right.
they're good.
Somehow.
You're telling me there's a chance,
There's-
but there really isn't. I mean,
Yeah.
the Chiefs are going to right the ship and win one of their last 2 games. There's no doubt about it in my mind. But officially now they're going to have to. They win the division, they're going to have 1 playoff game, but after that they're going to have to go on the road, something that they've never done. Also, the context of before, Travis Kelce full spiked it and the helmet went flying. It was because the Chiefs were about to be. It was 3rd and I forget what it was, 3rd and 6, something like that. And they got shut down. It was 4th down. Travis came off the field. Coincidentally, the Chiefs did a fake punt and converted. And then Travis Kelce wasn't in on a play or two because he couldn't get his helmet. And then Andy Reid goes, no, you ain't going in yet. And you could tell. I think the crazy thing to me, and I could be wrong, that Chiefs defense is good enough to win a Super Bowl. It's that offense. I mean, what was the stat, Zach? You're the stat guy here. The Raiders did not have a completion from their quarterback
After the first quarter.
Right?
Yeah, which is absolutely insane, especially for a guy who bet on Devontae Adams. Receiving yards.
I don't think there's ever been a stat like that. In
Yeah,
the last, like
and
15 years.
imagine someone told you before the game the Raiders are not going to complete a pass after the first quarter. You'd be like, Jesus Christ, what did the Kansas City Chiefs do to this poor team?
Well, how bad did they win?
Yeah.
And that was the point. So where I was going
It's like
with this
36 total passing yards.
So this is the part where it gets frustrating.
Shout out Zamir White for dominating.
Yeah, he did, and he did his part. But for the Raiders, they scored 2 defensive touchdowns in 8 seconds on back-to-back plays.
I think it was 7 seconds apart.
Yeah, 7 seconds
Yeah,
apart.
would they have a pick 6 and a scoop and score?
Scoop and score, yeah, then pick 6.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And then the Chiefs lose the game. So really, on that case, their defense was damn good enough to win that game. Their offense was not, and not even close to it. And that's my part. And they say, you've heard it all around, it's can this offense get, if they can clean things up. But now it's where you're getting to the point of, I believe that Chiefs defense can keep them in games, but is it going to be, can this Chiefs offense put up enough points? Because I think the other stat is, I don't think the Chiefs have won a game. Maybe it was one where they've won when they've allowed more than 20 points this season.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
I'm going to check it right now.
Real quick, Jack Jones on that pick 6 when he pulled the ball away from the child. I know that is a hot topic right now. I think that's hilarious.
Well,
did you see the whole thing?
Yes, thank you.
It wasn't. He didn't pull it from the kid. It was the dude from behind.
Yeah,
and even Jack said that.
Yeah, but I think everyone was so upset about it at first, but at the end of the day,
the media never gives a guy a chance to explain himself.
And also, let's say it was just him taking from the kid. We're supposed to have rivalries. Like, people say rivalries are dead in the NFL and then get upset when they think he just took it away from a child.
Mind you, that's a $5,000 fine if you give that ball away.
That's
so it's not like he's not giving it to him for free. Like he's going to get NFL will get their money back.
Well, Mike Evans does it every time he scores a touchdown. He scored about 13 this year, and he did get the bag, and he is nasty.
Me, on the other hand, I'm taking that ball to the locker room.
Yeah.
So give it to me after the game, and then I'll give it away.
Yeah. Okay.
So here
was being given away in the stand.
Here was a stat on the Chiefs, by the way. When they have allowed more than 20, so at 20 points, they have won. They beat the Jets 23-20. They beat the Minnesota Vikings 27-20. But if a team scores 21 or more, the Chiefs have not won a football game this year. That's the limit right there. And think about how dominant that offense has been.
I was going to say over the last 5 years, they've probably averaged more than 21 points a game with that offense.
Well, I know they've been the number one. They've been the number one offense over the last 5 years. They've been nuts, but that's the reality of it. And you've probably seen some fair share of incidences, Nick, whether it's in the dugout when you're playing baseball, maybe it's on the sideline. I've had my fair share of, incident happens. All of a sudden it's kind of calm, and then whammy, helmet goes flying. And in my case, when I played, the bat went flying, helmet went flying.
I've been a perpetrator of this. I won't lie. Last year, game 1, we're playing the Jets, and last punt of the game for us, it was kind of rainy, which for me, it doesn't compare because I don't play very often. I'm not playing back. Rarely do I play back-to-back plays. I have once, but rarely does that happen. But last year, we were playing the Jets. It was my last punt snap. But we didn't know it was the last one, but it was in the fourth quarter. And I snapped it. It felt really good coming out. I get plowed over by their big number 72, run down the field, whatever. They fair catch it. I go off the field, and Stout comes over to me. It's his rookie. It's his first game. He's a rookie. He comes over and he's like, "Hey man, you're okay." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Oh, that ball was on the ground." I was like, "What?" And I don't even know what came across me, and I just was like, "Fuck!" Threw my helmet down, exploded it, like ear pad goes flying. John just right behind me. Harbs is literally right there. He turns around, he goes, "What was that?" And I was like, I'm cussing over there. I'm like, "Fuck, dude." He kind of like grabs me by the pad. He's like, "Hey, you're still the best at your job. Just go do it again." And then like a couple minutes later, we ended up kicking a field goal, and it ended up being really good. But I get it.
So wait, you didn't think that you just had it on the ground?
No, I didn't know. I usually I can feel it, but first games of the year are tougher just because everything's kind of a blur. You're like getting used to playing again, like in a real NFL game. Preseason's just way different. It's totally different. So you're just getting used to the speed of the game. Everything kind of happens, and you're not as comfortable as you are like later. Mm-hmm. You're not as more aware. Yeah. You're not as aware as you are later on in the year. But so it felt really good coming out of my hands. I snapped really well that whole game, and that particular one just felt normal, and it was not. It didn't bounce on the ground. Okay, Jordan caught it like at his ankle, and then he caught it. Then pushed it off the ground to bring it back up, but it was a shitty snap. I'm not going to take that away.
Accountability, it wasn't right on the ground, but
no, but it wasn't good.
Yeah,
but
it didn't roll.
No, it didn't do what happened last week for the Commanders. But John is similar to Andy. He worked under and Coach Reed when they were in Philly, and I think I wasn't there obviously, but I feel like Andy handled it in a similar way, like. The last thing you need to do in that situation is like provoke the player any longer. He's emotional. He's already frustrated. And I think, I thought he was going to be pissed.
Yeah.
And he just like looked at me, grabbed me by the shoulder pad. And he's like, "Dude, you're the best in the league. Just wipe it off and go do it. Go get the next one." Again. And, I think maybe Coach Reed was giving Travis a breather and, going back out there, but I do like it. I mean, I think I think there needs to be something like that when guys, kind of show their ass a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good. You love hearing that. You have it's a vote of confidence. The way to instill back that, hey, all's good. Keep going, keep grinding. You're gonna make mistakes.
Oh yes, and you're gonna be emotional about it because you're just I don't want to say everybody, but like Travis, he's very emotional. If you watch his podcast and you listen because there's so much media coverage around them. He's an emotional guy, and I think they all are. And it comes out, and sometimes it's over the top, but it is what it is. I mean, I feel like all the best guys are that way.
Yeah,
I agree. Well, let's keep moving around. We'll touch quickly on this because then the debate that I know Zach's been waiting on, and for Brad here, but quickly. Cowboys, Dolphins. I know a lot of the Ravens fans were rooting for the Cowboys because if they beat the Dolphins, it makes it a little bit more relaxed. But the Cowboys, they just could not get out of their way, Brad. I mean, the fumble at the goal line after Pollard was kept out of the end zone by an arm tackle. And then the next play, they take Pollard off the field and say, let's give it to our fullback. And on an exchange fumble, you end up losing the game by 2 points.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say, but the Dolphins found a way to win. Sanders talk about, shout out special teams and kickers. Yeah. Dude was knocking them through left and right. But once again, the Cowboys had a chance to beat a good team and beat a team on the road. They didn't do it.
Well, I think this is what I've been saying all year, right? Like I was not a buyer of the Cowboys until I saw them play a legitimate team that had a winning record. And they have a losing record against teams that are 500 or better. So for me, it was like, show me that you're a physical team, that you can actually be that team that can compete for the Super Bowl. And while the Cowboys have a guaranteed spot in the playoffs, I just really struggle to believe that they're going to go anywhere past the first round because they just haven't shown me that they can be that physical team that gets them over the hump. Because I mean, we look at the teams that they've lost to. Miami, Buffalo kicked their ass. I think the only team with a winning record so far.
They beat Philly, right?
They beat Philly.
They beat Philly at home. At home. Yep.
But they're also undefeated at home.
Yeah.
They barely beat Seattle at home. And so like that's where I'm kind of like, I'm not going to go out here and say that they're a bunch of frauds or whatever, because they do have playmakers on that team. I just don't know if they have it together yet. And I don't know if it comes down to coaching. I don't know if it comes down to just circumstances or whatever, but they just haven't been that team that can go out there and execute plays against a team that is their equal or should be their equal or better.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the nose when you talk about the physicality. I think the Cowboys are a big team where they rely on getting out in front, making those big plays with CD and getting the passing game going and really just opening up the game. And when they get punched in the mouth first by some of these teams, then they're unable to adjust. And like, I think that's where you're seeing a lot of these losses from them, these tough losses come from, is when they get hit first, they're not necessarily responding like you would want to see a team that you are confident in to say, no, they can go into Philadelphia, they can go into San Francisco and win. And like you said, I'm not sure I can see that right now, because if San Francisco or Philadelphia punches them first and can go get a 10-point lead, I don't see that team physicality enough to stop the run, to go out there and really try to stay in the game like that.
Well, yeah, and I think the bigger part too is right now you got to, in the playoffs, you got to find a way to win, and you got to win the close games. And the Cowboys, besides that Seahawks game at home, they were dominant at home. They dominated everyone. But the reality is, in the playoffs, if you don't win your division right now, the Eagles now are in the driver's seat to win it. You're going to have to go win road games. Now, sure, they could go and beat some teams, but a team that it was in Baltimore that looked pretty damn good, that if they're a wild card team that I would probably take on the road over the Cowboys. You want to guess who that is?
Oh, LA Rams?
The LA Rams. I think the Rams, I think Matty Stafford.
Don't count out Matt Stafford.
Dude, he and Georgia Bulldog, the
guy's
dude.
A stud, dude. Yeah. He does not get enough credit. I love
No.
that.
He is a beast.
All,
He's an absolute beast. And that's what I'm talking about. We're talking about the teams right now. I wouldn't have said this 5 weeks ago.
Yeah, no.
But right now, I think that the Rams are a team that if I was going to play in the postseason on the road, and you're say Cowboys or Rams on the road, who would I trust more? Give me the guy that's won a Super Bowl. Give me the head coach at Sean McVay. And that team just seems to thrive wherever it is. I'm not saying that they're an overall better team than the Cowboys, but they do have a quarterback and they do play well regardless of where they're at. They're not a all at home field advantage team.
I mean, Matt Stafford's throwing it as good as any player in the league right now.
Oh,
I
he's
mean,
slinging it.
Yeah. I mean, it really is incredible. Kyron Williams is just a baller right now in the run game. And that whole offense it can be very scary. It can be very scary.
Well,
to go against.
Cooper, Puka, their offense is all rolling on all cylinders, but it starts with Matt Stafford. If when he's out there, he gives the team a chance. And they went toe to toe with the Ravens here a few weeks ago, which kind of leads, though. Stafford's playing great. He's not going to be the MVP. The MVP conversation was, as we know, going into the last couple of weeks, Brock, Tyreek Hill, Christian McCaffrey, and Dak Prescott, and then people would throw in Lamar Jackson. But it depends on how you view this award. And Zach, I know you've been waiting to talk about this for
excited.
a very long time.
Both of us.
I know, but I still think that Brock Purdy had a bad game, Nick, and it happens, and it was a bad game for Brock. It really was.
Was it a bad game for Brock or a really good game by the Ravens?
I think the Ravens defense is the reason why he looks so bad.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that that's okay. I think that's okay to say. Having said that, though, if it's a quarterback, it's Lamar Jackson, right? I think it's fair to say. But Zach, I know I'll give you and Brad can have your word because you've not been the most courteous to Brock, which I still disagree with.
I know I've been viewed, Nick, as a Brock Purdy hater because I said that Christian McCaffrey should be the MVP over him. Still saying he's a top 3 candidate, but because I said CMC's better, I'm a massive Brock Purdy hater. I'm not sure if you've noticed.
I can see that.
I know. It's incredible.
Yeah.
But
I also may have said that you.
Yeah.
I said that if there was a top 15 quarterback in that San Francisco offense, they would all look like all pro quarterbacks in that system. And look, I don't play football. I just go based off of what I'm seeing. You got Debo, you got Ayuk, you got CMC, you got Trent Williams in the trenches. You put a good quarterback, doesn't have to be great, doesn't have to be elite. You put a good quarterback behind them. The eye test to me says they're all going to do well because of the superstars that they have around them. And again, it wasn't a necessarily a dig at Brock Purdy. It was just that Brock Purdy, in my opinion, wasn't the best player, still isn't the best player on the team. It's Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah,
And
I think
so-
that offense still runs through Christian McCaffrey, and we saw it last night. I mean,
Yeah.
the one interception of Patrick Queen was there trying to check it down to Christian McCaffrey. And whenever the 49ers last night were behind and they needed something to happen, what did they do? They force-fed Christian McCaffrey. They tried to get him out in screens and space. They tried to get him over the middle, get him to run outside. They were trying their hardest to get him involved and finished over 130 yards total, a touchdown. Christian McCaffrey, no matter what he does, is going to get 100 yards and a touchdown. I mean,
he finds a way.
Yeah, it's just
He's a freak.
It's insane. And that's why I'm saying it's not like you said, Brad, a dig at Purdy to say that McCaffrey is the focal point of that offense. And I think last night kind of proved that, if Purdy, he's going to have bad games. And any quarterback, I don't want to say any quarterback, but a top 10 quarterback is going to have them in that position where I'm not sure even if there are other top 5 running backs who could replace Christian McCaffrey in that system and do what he's doing, just because he can do everything with the receiving and the rushing. He takes that whole offense to such a different level.
Yeah, but okay, I still I'm gonna I want your opinion here on this, Nick. I still think that Brock Purdy should still be in the conversation, and one game doesn't define a player. Now it's going to be what he does after this and what he does moving forward. I just think that the Ravens are that damn good defensively. I thought it was an excellent play. There was some tip passes, but that was because of the pressure that they brought, getting your hands up and making plays. That's all on Baltimore. I think it was a more testament to the Ravens, not necessarily that Brock Purdy was so terrible. I think the Ravens were that damn good. But I think the conversation goes to most outstanding player. And if that's the case, you probably say Christian McCaffrey. Off of his numbers alone, Christian McCaffrey. If you're going to say most valuable player, you look at when the stars or when the lights shine brightest, Lamar Jackson's out there doing everything humanly possible on offense. No quarterback besides Patrick Mahomes has more wins than Lamar Jackson since 2018. And regardless of what his numbers look like, when the teams, whoever that the Ravens face, Lamar Jackson found a way. And to be honest, with a game with a lot of stars on the field last night, Lamar Jackson might have been the best on the field out of all the players. And that's saying something, because that defense, I think you could make a case that all of them deserve that they're the best. But Lamar Jackson against a unit that they said would pulverize, he was nothing short of sensational. So, Nick, I guess I ask you.
Actually,
one more thing. Go ahead, Brad.
Yeah. So before Nick responds, because I wanted to get his thoughts on this too. It's a lot of people, whoever is part of the voting for MVP, and especially a lot of ESPN talking heads, what have you, are solely looking at passing yards and passing touchdowns when it comes to this. And when they compare quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson total touchdowns, I think, is 22, 23, and his total yards is 4,100. So you combine total yards and with him and Brock Purdy, he's got the same amount of yards as Brock Purdy. He's got a few less touchdowns, but that's because Gus the Bus has been a touchdown machine. So
he has like 12 1-yard rushing touchdowns.
Yeah. Red zone freak.
Right. So my thing is, it's like we're comparing if the MVP is all about stats and nobody's looking at anything else. You have to, especially with the way that quarterbacks are being built in today's league, because Lamar isn't the only guy anymore that is the type of dynamic player that he is. He's the most dynamic, but you look at Jalen Hurts and the Kyler Murrays and all that. They're not taking into account their full body of work. They're just looking at their passing numbers, and I just think that is completely unfair.
Yeah, Nick,
I agree. I agree with that. I think this, I think Ryan kind of alluded to it earlier. Is it the best player on the best team, or is it just the best player? And I think that's similar to the GOAT conversation with, or winning championships more important than all the titles or scoring titles and all that stuff. I'm biased. I think Lamar is the best player in the NFL, so you give him the MVP. Also, he's on the best team in the NFL, so I think he should get it. But I think you're right with CMC. I definitely think he's their offense. Like they go as he goes. Brock is an unbelievable player, and he's played really, really well over the last 2 seasons. Coming in late round guy or whatever, and being able to kind of defy the odds, if you will.
Mhm.
But I think you're right. I don't think they take into account all the stuff that Lamar is capable of doing.
No.
I think, Patrick runs, Josh Allen runs, Kyler runs. I understand that, but they primarily throw touchdowns.
Mhm.
Like, Pat's throwing, a lot of touchdowns all the time. He's a passing quarterback.
Yeah,
And
even if they get to the 1 yard line, they do these little shovel passes to
which
Kelsey.
those count. Those are
those are passing
any
touchdowns.
forward pass
Mhm.
that it counts as
Even
a
just
touchdown. Even if it's like catching the shotgun and flip it forward and the guy runs it for a touchdown like they've had in the past.
Yeah,
That's a touchdown. But I think Lamar, I don't think he's playing for that, but I think he's put on a case. He's definitely put together a really nice resume, and especially if we finish as the best team in the NFL, a guy that went like from last year, and even the last 2 years, how we were really good, and then Lamar goes down, he's out. Last year, I think we did better than we did in 2021. We were able to still find our rhythm and still play well and win games and get to the playoffs. But it's hard to say Lamar is not the MVP in my opinion. I think he's the best player in the game at the moment.
I forget who posted it, but I saw on Twitter earlier today, it was the Michael Jordan with all the MVPs, and it said Lamar Jackson if the Ravens ever called a quarterback sneak on the 1. And it's so true. I mean, we just get to the 1-2 yard line, and in Philadelphia, it's okay, tush push. And in Baltimore, it's okay, hand it to Gus. And like that's the difference. People will look and they'll go, well, Lamar's only averaging like 1.5 touchdowns over the past, 10 weeks. And it's like, okay, well, he gets them 99 yards down the field, then turns around and hands it to Gus, and it's still 7 points. He got them down there. It doesn't matter if he's pushed in or handed off. The point, and what Lamar always talks about, is he wants to win games. He doesn't care about.
That's all he cares about.
He doesn't care about sitting there going, "No, coach, like push me in. I need to I want a few more touchdowns."
Yeah, get those stats up.
Yeah,
get those
it's
stats
like
up.
he could, at least from a fan and like from stories you hear, he's someone who's like, I don't care if coach, how many times, twice on 4th down this year we've seen Lamar run to the Wildcat. And it's like, if it means we're going to go improve as a team, I don't need to be a part of it.
Yeah, I think that's a big part. And I see some comments here. Ace, you seem new. Welcome to the channel, by the way. Thanks for stopping by. I think like for guys, this could be a conversation. If the Dolphins come in and win, then Tua deserves more credit. I think Tyreek, if he gets 2,000 yards in a season, it's not even commendable. It's unheard of yet in the NFL. And he missed a game, so it'd be for 16. But I think the point of what we're saying is Lamar's value is not necessarily going to be measured with how many touchdowns he scored. It's going to be in the evolution of his game. You know what I've loved the last 2 games, by the way? This is what this is like coach speak. I feel like they'd say the Ravens have won the last 2 games. What, against the Jaguars? It was they had 1 turnover, but they forced 3, if I'm not mistaken. This last game they forced 5.
Yeah.
And you can say, well, you don't want to beat yourself. Playing clean football and getting points and being smart and making good decisions matters. And I think that Lamar is even doing that better than anyone has given him credit for this year. He's been tremendous across the board. He's been tremendous. And then he'll have the electrifying plays that everyone talks about. I think because he's not having those dazzling plays that he had maybe in 2019 as much, the Houdini and the runs for 50 yards.
That play before the end of the half last night
was one of them.
That was one of those
really good play.
Those people this year will sit there and say Lamar's not running the ball. Has Lamar slowed down? Maybe he doesn't have the same burst that he once had. And then it's like, no, I think someone said he understands that his speed is like a sports car. You don't take the sports car out to go to the grocery store. Yeah. He's not going to go try to do everything. A lot of things over the past few years when we've gotten in trouble is because at the first sight of, there's a breakdown, Lamar was just, I'm going to go play superhero. And now he understands, okay, I'm going to hang behind the line, not take the hit, and throw it 15 yards down the field to Odell, who's running there, Zay, who's broke free. But that does not mean that race car is not there. And we saw yesterday, as soon as he hits the open field, you see it from a lot on field perspective. Is it so much more fast? Like people say it's way faster on the field than you can
yeah.
even understand.
It's one of the most effortless things I've ever seen, and the way he can just get up and go is electric. But I think Lamar gets so much unnecessary criticism because before it was, all he does when the pocket breaks down, he runs, he runs. He does he one read and go kind of guy. And now it's like he's not doing that. He's sitting in the pocket, he's going through his progression, he's picking out good throws, he's executing very accurate and on-time throws. He's doing really obviously doing a great job. And now they're saying, oh, he doesn't run enough.
Yeah.
Like what? Just last year or the year before, they're like, oh, this guy can't pass in the NFL because all he does is when things break down is he leaves the pocket. And I think it's a totally ridiculous criticism of Lamar Jackson. And I think he does better than anyone can take it, brush it off. And you said it earlier, all he cares about is winning. I think the Super Bowl to him is far more important than winning the MVP. And I think that's what he's going for. And if he has to share the love with everyone else, he doesn't, so be it.
Yeah.
You know, it's
he's on a mission. He's on a mission where, and even after the game, when they asked him, how excited are you about the Ravens, you can win next week and be the number 1 seed? It's like, well, we've been there and we got to keep playing.
Yeah. That was incredible how he said that.
Yeah. And I think that to me just shows you all you need to know. That the awards don't mean anything. And to be fair, what's everyone say about Lamar too now? Like just with him in general, can't win the playoffs, can't win the big game. So if he's the MVP and he wins and he doesn't win the playoffs, people are still going to shit on him. And that's the thing that sucks. You're like, what do you want from him?
Someone's got to be the bad guy. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt.
If Patrick Mahomes is, Superman, someone's got to be the kryptonite. And I think
Lamar,
I think Lamar has
okay
been
being that.
I don't know. I've never asked him, but I feel like he thrives in that.
I think
he does a good job at it.
Like you said, I don't think he'll ever really say it, but I think he enjoys being doubted. And the fact that each week he gets to go and put on a show and prove that all these naysayers, he's got to try out at wide receiver. He can't do this in the NFL. Oh, he runs too fast. He runs too quickly. Oh, he doesn't run fast enough because he's holding onto the ball. It's just always the goalposts are going to change. And it feels like every game he just checks off another, can't use that against him anymore. And I think he enjoys that fact of each game. It's just another checklist of, well, we said he couldn't do that, and then he went and did it. I mean, that one throw he made, I think it was in the second quarter where he's running to the sideline.
To Isaiah?
Yeah.
Come on.
Who makes that throw?
His
feet are in the air, and he puts a dot on him. But I was told by Twitter GMs he's still running back.
Well, and here's the other thing. My biggest compliment that a player can get is even when I played or any sport that I did, if someone on the opposing teams were like, damn, that you're a beast, or like, damn, that guy's good. Like that guy's unbelievable. When you hear the other players in the NFL talk about Lamar Jackson, none of them are saying he can't play quarterback. He can't do this. It's damn, dude, Lamar he's unstoppable. How do you stop him? I think that people are starting to recognize that more. And to me, that's the most valuable thing.
Yeah.
His peers are realizing that he is an absolute stud. And if you want to criticize him, that's fine. Everyone in Baltimore here are thankful and ecstatic that he's the quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens.
I'm glad we got number 8.
Yeah.
That dude's a beast.
Preach.
I'll take him any day of the week.
I like to say, as long as 8 is lacing him up, I like our chances every time we take the field.
Yep. Well,
1000%.
Speaking of one quarterback that the Ravens currently have with Lamar Jackson, too, the old franchise quarterback, Joe Flacco, because we're going to do this and we're going to get on out of here. Brad, Joe Flacco is I'm so happy to see him doing well. I know it's on the Browns. I really do.
It's starting to get to the point where, like, at first it was super fun, and now it's like, okay, like,
It's
stop
scary.
now. Like 3 straight 300-yard passing games. Like, okay. Like,
I mean, the dude's like, what is he, 39 or 40?
yeah,
Like,
it needs to stop.
as an older guy in the league, you love to see it.
Oh,
I mean,
I'm
it's
sure.
on the Browns, and we don't want the Browns to do well, but you got to root for the old guys.
That's
man.
what it's
You
hard about, because you want to, and then
Yeah.
you're like, it's still the Browns. Like, it's the team right behind
I
us.
hope I'm playing ball at 39, dude.
And he's still throwing.
You'll
still
probably
has
go on like your third professional sport. by then.
exactly.
Yeah,
Be a hockey
Brad, get in
player.
here. Get in
come on
here
in, Brad.
and explain a little bit here of the fact of where are you? There you are. Is that Joe is
he still throws the prettiest ball in the NFL.
Amari Cooper is
Oh, yeah.
loving having him there.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, Amari Cooper is a great wide receiver, and now having Joey's even said, he goes, it's just sometimes mesmerizing. I think watching, and quite frankly, I think he's not mesmerized enough where it's stopping his play. Amari Cooper is setting records over there in Cleveland.
Yeah.
But I think go ahead.
I was going to say we're going to get into. So Joe Flacco was asked by the media, local media in Cleveland, about how he's feeling about the Ravens' performance and whatever else. And so we're going to get into his comments on that in a second. But I just wanted to say one other thing. Like it does feel a little scary that the Browns are doing so well under Joe Flacco. But the one thing that gives me a little bit of, I guess, a solace or whatever you want to call it, is that he throws so many picks. I think he's thrown seven interceptions in the last 3 games, 7 or 8. So
he's still slinging it.
That's gonna.
He's a gunslinger.
Yeah, that ain't gonna change.
Yeah, it's either it's a perfect ball where it's like, how the hell did he do that, or it's how did the hell did you do that, Joe? And that ball is right to the defender. But
there are 3 outcomes in a Joe Flacco deep pass: big catch, defensive pass interference, interception. There is no incompletion. There's no incompletion.
Yeah. Nobody's better at the arm punt than Joe Flacco.
So what's the video we got, Brad?
All right, so the video we got, again, as I explained before, local media from Cleveland was asking about the Ravens. Obviously, he was there, and so here's what he had to say about the current Ravens squad. Take a listen.
Coached, a ton of talent, and they make sure they bring the right guys in that are going to fight for 60 minutes. They're going to be able to deal with adversity. You could talk those guys up forever. They're just a really good football team. That's why they're in it every single year. And when they're really rolling, they get better as the year goes on. They get more physical and all those things. So standard stuff, I think, for those guys. I think they should be excited where they are for sure.
So pretty, I would say, typical response that I would expect to get from Joe Flacco. But it was kind of cool just to hear him give some flowers where they're due as far as the Baltimore team. And then there's no love lost there, which is why it's going to suck if the Ravens end up playing the Browns. The Browns come to Baltimore, and it's like Flacco comes in, and I makes you nervous. January Joe.
I think is
Stavros coming to that game?
Oh, Stavros
has to come to that game, right?
He's going to show up in one of those half Browns, half the Flacco jersey where it's half Ravens, half Browns.
Yeah.
See, I don't know if he would wear a Browns jersey. I think he might have a Flacco.
Ravens jersey.
Yeah, I think he'll just be hysterical with crying, cursing him out, but also being like, why do you got to do that to us, Joe?
Yeah.
Is he coming as Stavros or is he coming as the alter ego?
Oh, he's got to come as Ronnie.
He's got
to wear the purple pants, the purple camo pants.
Oh, yeah.
And shirtless.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you can't not be shirtless.
Yeah.
I actually love
Ronnie from Dundalk.
Yeah.
I'd want to see real Fan Dan and Ronnie.
Hell yeah.
That would be a great moment. But I love the fact that what Flacco is talking about, right? And it's a great it's a guy you want to root for, right? Mm-hmm. But if he does play Baltimore, you hope it doesn't bring down this Ravens team, because I think a lot of fans, even though as grateful as everyone is for what Joe did for the city, the community, and to bring a Super Bowl back to Baltimore, which is what the team's trying to do. They haven't won a Super Bowl since 2012, I guess technically 2013 in February. So it's been, approaching 10, 11 years. And so
he has the best playoff road record in NFL history.
Stud.
Does he really?
Yeah.
What a guy. I knew I liked him.
He's an absolute stud. So we hope the best for Joe
until the playoffs, because I'm telling you, that's going to be the first hump of many that Lamar's going to face in the playoffs. He's got to go past his old mentor,
Can you just imagine?
He's going to go. It's going to be like when Flacco had to go against, it was Andrew Luck, then it was Peyton Manning, then we had Tom Brady. Then it was like, going through the people who had stopped him before. Now Lamar's going to have to take out Flacco, like the whole like Darth Vader killing your father type scene,
Yeah.
And then goes Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. He just goes down the list. I think that's how it happens.
Oh, what about there's going to be so many movies where it's someone that there's a personal tie, maybe it is Star Wars with Darth Vader and whatnot, or it's just one of those like, I'm sorry, like I don't want to hurt you, I'm sorry. And I can't think of the movies, but you know what I'm talking about. There's hundreds of movies out there where there's
Ric Flair.
Yeah,
I think
the Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels.
that's the big
That's it.
one.
I'm sorry, and then the kick by Shawn Michaels should be. Well, I guess
It'll be stressful.
Let's cross that bridge when we get there. Let's not throw out too many hypotheticals. Also, I just wanted to shout out Joe here for a second. Joe S., Niners fan, great game by the Ravens. Completely smacked us at home. Hope we can try for redemption in the Super Bowl. Appreciate that, Joe, and thank you for stopping by. And also, I said this to some of the guys beforehand. This might be the best thing for the Niners, to be honest, is that for the longest time, it was the excuses that they didn't have their best guys available, right? Oh, Trent Williams isn't playing. Deebo Samuel's not playing. So therefore, that's why they were losing games, and then they steamrolled. But to get humbled like that at home right before the playoffs might be the best thing for San Francisco, because I do think that they are the best team in the NFC. I think that team is stacked. But sometimes you got to get kicked in the mouth. I think the Ravens, why they're doing so well, is they had those moments earlier when Gardner Minshew came to Baltimore and the Colts won. You don't think that pissed people off, or losing that game at Pittsburgh. But those are humbling moments for a team. And I think any team that's on the way to win the Super Bowl needs those moments. So hopefully the Ravens see him in the Super Bowl, but hopefully the Ravens are victorious. But guys, I think that's it. I think we've been here long enough. Hey, Nick, thanks for coming here. There he is.
This was a lot of fun. I love shooting the shit and talking ball.
Talking shop.
Yeah.
And we got a lot more, and we want you to come back, be a part of it. We're going to show you how the studio works a little bit more.
Hopefully we have the jersey. The jersey will be here next time.
Hey, you know, last thing I'll say before we get out of here, we got to get your Johnny tweet then maybe put up in a
yeah, I'm actually gonna get the Johnny tweet, like Lamar's original Johnny tweet, on a shirt. I've meant to do that, but I will have that ready.
Because that was just shout out to you that it was on ESPN's taking your stuff here, by the way.
Sports Center.
Hell yeah.
So here I'll quickly
oh yeah, okay.
Pull it up.
Hey,
pull it up.
of course. There we go. Sports Center today. I was one really cool having my name. I forget. Oh, it's not on here, but on the actual Sports Center like Instagram page, it had, tagged the two people involved in the post, and it was me and Lamar, and I was like, just two boys,
Yeah, we're homies.
Yeah, I was like, it was like did we just become best friends thing? Like, I'm like, just me and Lamar. So yeah, who knew my big break on Twitter just needed to be Lamar bored in London on Twitter, and then tweeted out Johnny, and then it has taken off from there.
And there it is. We're gonna add more flavor to the studio. So if we get that shirt, we get a tweet and we print it out. Rocco never made Sports Center. Joe, that is correct.
That is correct.
Rocco is off this week. He will be back. Don't worry. We didn't scare him off from the holiday video that we put up. He didn't. Well, I'll let people go back and watch it. But he was great in Willy Wonka. I will say that. So on that note, we are getting out of here. I hope you guys enjoyed your holiday season. We'll be back on Thursday again for the Ryan Ripken Show. We'll probably be back at normal time, depending on, and our normal time is usually 7, but we'll see what happens. But for Nick Moore, Nick, again, shout out you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Zach, Brad's behind. If we can get Brad back, there he is.
Boom.
And I'm Ryan Ripken, and we'll see you next time. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday night.
See you guys.
Boom, boom, pow, baby.
Boom, boom. Isn't that a Black Eyed Peas song?
Yeah.
Yeah. Boom, boom.
Boom.